the brief history of Canada, starting from the independence of Canada. Canada's journey to independence began with the British North America Act, passed on July 1, 1867, which united the colonies of Canada, or now New Ontario and Quebec, New Brunswick, and Nova Scotia into a single dominion within the British Empire. This act granted Canada internal self-governance but left foreign policy and constitutional amendments under the British control. Then, the Statute of Westminster passed in 1931 marked a significant step toward full legislative independence, allowing Canada to make its own laws without British approval. However, the final legal ties were not severed until the Constitution Act of 1982, which patriated the Canadian Constitution and included the Canadian Charter of Rights and Freedoms. This act symbolized full sovereignty and the ability to amend the Constitution independently of the British Parliament. And the head of the country. Canada is the constitutional monarch, meaning the country recognizes a monarch as the official head of state within the parameters of a constitution. The current monarch is King Charles III, who ascended to the throne in 2022. The king's duties in Canada are mostly ceremonial and are performed by Governor General, the monarch's representative in Canada. The Governor General acts on the advice of the Prime Minister and the Cabinet, which form the executive branch of government. The head of government is the Prime Minister, who is the leader of the majority party in the House of Commons. The current Prime Minister as of 2024 is Justin Trudeau, who has served since 2015. And the National Flag of Canada. The National Flag of Canada, often called the Maple Leaf, is inaugurated in February 15, 1965. The flag consists of two vertical red bands on each side with a white square in the middle, featuring a red stylized maple leaf with 11 points. The maple leaf is a recognized symbol of Canada, representing nature and environment, as well as unity and peace. The adoption of the flag was a significant moment in Canadian history, reflecting the country's independent identity and national pride. And the national anthem of Canada. "O Canada" is the national anthem of Canada. The music was composed by Calixa Lavallée with French lyrics written by Sir Adolphe Basile Gautier for the 1880 Saint John Baptist Day ceremony. The English version, written by Robert Stanley Weir in 1908, underwent several modifications before being officially adopted as the national anthem in 1980. The anthem reflects Canada's cultural heritage and national pride, and it is performed at various public and official events, symbolizing the unity and patriotism of Canada.
Hi, my name is Nadia Pasanda. Now I want to explain about education system in Canada. So, the education system in Canada is renowned globally for its focus on research, education, and presentations. The country has publicly funded universities with the oldest dating back to 1663. Universities prioritize providing students with well-rounded experiences to enhance their academic and curriculum. Education in Canada is supported by federal, provincial, and local governments, with each province controlling its education system and curriculum. Canadian students excel in math, science, and reading, ranking 6th globally for 15-year-olds. The education system in Canada is divided into 4 stages. The first one is primary education, start at 4 to 5 years old, preparing children for primary education. The second one is primary education from grades 1 to 6, focusing on basic subjects like math, English, social studies, science, and physical education. Secondary education from grades 9 to 12, allowing students to specialize in the chosen stream. And the last one, tertiary education, includes vocational courses, diplomas, and degrees offered by colleges and universities. Canadian universities offer bachelor's, master's, and doctoral degrees, with different grading systems in place across provinces. Technology plays a significant role in education in Canada, with schools equipped with computers and internet connectivity for research, learning, and online education. The Council of Ministers of Education Canada, or CMEC, serves as a platform for education ministers to collaborate on educational projects and express concerns nationally and internationally. English and French are the primary languages of instruction in Canadian schools, with Quebec mandating French educational until high school completion. Canada's higher education system welcomes international students, making it the fourth most popular destination globally. International students appreciate Canada's education quality and multicultural environment. Canada aims to increase international students' number significantly by 2020. In conclusion, the education system in Canada offers a diverse range of opportunities for students at all levels, emphasizing academic excellence, practical skills, and multicultural learning environment.
I'm Gabri Natalia Sivanka. Language. Canada's bilingual nature stems from its colonial history. The country was initially explored and settled by both the British and the French. This has resulted in a lasting legacy where both languages are deeply embedded in Canadian culture and governance. And with the 1867 British North America Act, which created the Canadian Confederation, implicitly recognized the use of both English and French in federal constitutions. After the enactment in 1969, the Official Languages Act was passed to ensure the English and the French are recognized as the official languages of Canada. This law mandates that all federal government services are available in both languages. And then, in 1988, the Act was revised to further promote the equality of status and usage of English and French within Canadian society and federal institutions. For the geographical distribution, English is the most widely spoken language across Canada, with about 75% of Canadians using it as their first language, while French is primarily spoken in the province of Quebec, where it's the majority language, and also in parts of New Brunswick, Ontario, and Manitoba. In the media and federal services, must provide services in both English and French. This includes everything from tax forms to voting ballots and broadcasting. The general media in Canada has a rich landscape of English and French media, including televisions, radio, newspaper, and digital platforms. Other languages that is in Canada are the Indigenous languages. Canada is home to more than 70 Indigenous languages belonging to 12 distinct language families. Some of the major language families include Algonquian, Iroquoian, Inuit, Athabaskan, Salisan, and Siouan. Many Indigenous languages are at risk of disappearing, with some having very few fluent speakers left. Factors contributing to this decline include historical policies of assimilation, residential schools, and the dominance of English and French. Indigenous communities and organizations are actively working to revitalize their language through educational programs, language immersion school, and digital resources. Right now, from the government support, such as Indigenous Language Act at 2019, aims to promote the protect Indigenous language. Notable mention of languages in Canada are the multiculturalism and language diversity from the immigrant languages. Canada's policy of multiculturalism encourages the retention of cultural identities, including language, among immigrant communities. According to the 2006 census, over 7.7 million Canadians reported speaking a language other than English or French at home. Common immigrant languages that are in Canadian are Punjabi, one of the most widely spoken immigrant languages, particularly in British Columbia and Ontario, Mandarin and Cantonese. Significant Chinese-speaking population are presented in urban centers like Vancouver and Toronto. Tagalog, Filipino. The Filipino community is growing rapidly, especially in major cities. Spanish, a large number of Spanish speakers with communities across the country, Arabic, increasingly common with notable population in Ontario, Quebec, and Alberta. Italian, Portuguese, and German, language of earlier waves of European immigrants, still widely spoken in certain regions. Religion. According to the statistic of Canada's religious affiliation from 2021 from Statista, there are 6 major religions in Canada, with some residual of other percentage. The first is Christianity. Christianity is the largest religion in Canada, with a diverse array of denominations, reflecting historical immigration patterns, cultural influences, and regional differences. According to the 2011 National Household Survey, about 67% of Canadians identify as Christian, though this percentage has been declining in recent years. For the denomination, Roman Catholicism is the largest single Christian denomination in Canada. Introduced by French settlers in the early 17th century, Roman Catholicism has deep roots in Canadian history, especially in Quebec. After Roman Catholicism, we have Protestantism. Protestantism in Canada includes a variety of denominations that is United Church of Canada, Anglican Church of Canada, Baptist churches, Lutheran churches, Pentecostalism, and Evangelicalism. Other few minority denominations of Christianity in Canada are Eastern Orthodox Christianity, Mennonites, Seventh-day Adventists, and Jehovah's Witnesses. The second is Islam. Islam is the second largest religion in Canada. According to the 2011 National Household Survey, about 3.2% of Canadians identify as a Muslim. This number has likely grown since then due to continuing immigration and higher birth rates. Significant Muslim communities are found in major cities like Toronto, Montreal, Vancouver, Calgary, and Edmonton. These Canadian Muslims come from diverse backgrounds, including South Asia, the Middle East, North Africa, and increasingly from Sub-Saharan Africa. Therefore, numerous mosques and Islamic centers serve as community hubs for prayers, education, and social activities. Festivals such as Idul Fitri and Idul Adha are celebrated widely, contributing to the multicultural fabric of Canadian society religion with Muslim. The third is Hinduism. Approximately 1.5% of Canadians identify as a Hindu, a number that has grown due to immigration from India, Nepal, Sri Lanka, and other countries. Major Hindu population in urban centers like Toronto, Vancouver, Calgary, and Edmonton. Festivals such as Diwali and Holi also are celebrated with enthusiasm, often involving public events and community activities. The fourth is Sikhism. Sikhs make up about 1.4% of the Canadian population, with a significant presence in certain provinces, especially prominent in British Columbia and Ontario, with large communities in cities like Vancouver, Surrey, Toronto, and Brampton. The fifth is Buddhism. Buddhism makes up about 1.1% of the Canadian population, largely due to immigration from Asia. Buddhist communities are in significant urban areas like Vancouver, Toronto, and Montreal. And the last one is Judaism. About 1.0% of Canadians identify as a Jewish, making Judaism one of the older non-Christian religions in the country. Major Jewish communities are in Toronto, Montreal, and Winnipeg, symbolizing historical roots dating back to the 18th century. Jewish festivals such as Hanukkah, Passover, and Yom Kippur are widely observed, and Jewish cultural contributions are significant in arts, business, and public life in Canada. Other percentage of the minority religion in Canada are Indigenous spirituality that reflects the spiritual tradition of First Nation, Métis, and Inuit people, with practice varying widely among different groups. And notable mention of other religions are Baha'i faith, Neo-paganism, and New Age. Now, here we explain to the top religion from the most percentage to the least. But if we're including all of the beliefs here, Muslim is not the second percentage of this religion in Canada. Hitting the same 2 digits of percentage as Christianity is secularism, or generally called the non-religious believers. A growing number of Canadians hitting at a 35% rate identify as having no religious affiliation, including atheists, agnostics, and those who consider themselves spiritual but not religious. This demographic is particularly common among younger generation and urban populations.
Canada's international relations, deeply rooted in its colonial past and shaped by its commitment to peacekeeping and humanitarian endeavors, underscore its dedication to promoting human rights, democracy, and the rule of law. Governed by the Prime Minister, Cabinet, and Parliament, Canada effectively participates in global forums like the United Nations, NATO, and the Commonwealth of Nations to advocate for peace and cooperation. While its close ties with the United States are paramount, Canada maintains robust relationships across Europe, Asia, and the Middle East. Canada's partnerships with Indonesia amplifies with global engagements with diplomatic efforts dating back to 1948, facilitating strong ties and trade, governance, and security. The recent initiations of negotiations for a comprehensive economic partnership agreements or CEPA with Indonesia demonstrates Canada's commitment for fostering economic growth to cooperation through assessments of potential impacts, emphasizing its strategic approach to international relations. For the government and political system, Canada operates as a constitutional monarchy and parliamentary democracy. Among the British Minister, the international relations of Canada refers to the country's diplomatic and trade relationships with other nations. Canada has a long and rich history of international engagement dating back to its early days as a British colony. Canada is known for its peacekeeping efforts, humanitarian aid, and commitment to the United Nations. Canada's international relationships have evolved over time and are shaped by key players in Canadian foreign policy. These players include the Prime Minister, Cabinet, and Parliament. In addition, Canada's international relations are influenced by the country's value, interests, and priorities. For example, Canada has a strong commitment to human rights, democracy, and the rule of law, which are reflected in its foreign policy decisions. Over the years, Canada has established diplomatic relations with many countries around the world. Canada is a member of a number of international organizations, including the United Nations, the World Trade Organization, and the Commonwealth of Nations. Canada's international relationships are also shaped by its geographic locations as a neighbor to the United States. Canada has a close relationship with its southern neighbor. The two countries have a long history of economic and political cooperation and are each other's largest trading partners. Canada also has important relationships with other countries in the Americas, Europe, Asia, and Africa. As a member of numerous international organizations, including the United Nations, NATO, and the Commonwealth of Nations, Canada plays an active role in promoting Canadian interests and values on the global stage. The work of Canada's diplomats involves a range of activities, including the conflict resolutions, promoting peace, and advancing human rights. In addition to its influence in international organizations, Canada's diplomatic relationship with key countries and regions are also crucial to its foreign policy. On June 20, 2021, Canada and Indonesia launched negotiations towards a Canada-Indonesia Comprehensive Economic Partnership Agreement, or CEPA. In conjunction with these decisions, the government of Canada has conducted an initial economic impact assessment, or EAI, of a possible Canada-Indonesia CEPA study the associated potential economic benefits. EIAs are a tool used to assess the potential economic impacts of free trade agreements entered into by Canada and its trading partners. EIAs provide both quantitative and qualitative assessments of measures included in Canada's FTAs and are useful in identifying anticipated economic effects both in terms of bilateral trade flows, exports and imports, and GDP growth for both parties to an agreement. More recently, Canada's approach has expanded to allow for a more detailed analysis of the impacts of an FTA on labor and gender. Canada is a country with a rich and diverse cultural heritage, deeply rooted in its history and the amalgamations of various cultures. Canadians are known for their friendliness, love, and spirit, especially agility and enthusiasm for outdoor activities such as camping and hiking. The country embraces multiculturalism reflected in its wide range of festivals, including the Calgary Stampede, Toronto International Film Festival, Montreal Jazz Festival, and Winterlude. Social customs emphasize politeness and proper etiquette, such as shaking hands when meeting, maintaining eye contact within 15 until 20%, and saying please and thank you. Visitors are encouraged to follow these customs to make a positive impression on the welcoming Canadian population.
Oh, Canada, our home and native